Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat and welcome po sa ating channel, Opinion Ka Lang. At ngayon po ay papaunlakan po natin yung request po, no? Matagal na pong request ito ni Miss Julie from Sorsogon. Ang kanyang request is to talk about the forms of government. Alam nyo, sa buong mundo, iba't ibang klase ng forms of government ang makikita at matutunghayan natin. Because, forms of government or preference of the people within the state. So, wala pong pangit na gobyerno kasi depende po yan sa pananaw ng mga tao doon at paningin nila. Like for example, here in the Philippines, sa tingin natin, demokrasya pa rin ang dapat na manatili. Kaya yun ang ratified natin sa ating constitution, sa pamamagitan ng ating constitution, to declare that the government, the form of government of the Philippines must be and should be democratic, democracy. There are many forms of government, and history attests that from one period to another, different form of government have rose and failed. Proven na po yan. And then form of government may be classified to various perspectives used. And some political scientists classify various names of this form of government. So, halika, pag-usapan na natin kung ano-ano yung mga iba't ibang klaseng gobyerno na ipinapatupad sa bawat estado in every state in the world. Okay, ano ba yung una nating pag-uusapan na form of government? Unahin natin yung tinatawag na monarchy. Yung hari at reyna, the king and queen. Well, monarchy is a form of government in which the sovereignty or the power resides in one person or ruler. Ayun nga, for example, the King of Saudi Arabia, and who is the King of Saudi Arabia today? I think it's King Salman. And the Sultan of Brunei, Sultan Bolkiah, and the Queen of England, tagal na rin niya, no? Queen Elizabeth II. And the King of Spain, King Felipe. Alam naman natin na ang Espanya, noong pa nang sinasakop tayo, hari at reyna na talaga yan. Nagkukan dyan. They're the one ruling the state. But we must understand, right now as product of evolution, nahati na yung tinatawag na monarchical power. Nahati ito sa dalawa. Before, what they are practicing, yung tinatawag na absolute monarchy, na ang power ng executive, legislative, and judiciary, nasa kamay lahat yan nung monarch or nung king or your queen. Kaya nandiyan yung kasabihan, ang utos ng hari ay hindi nababali. So you need to follow first before you complain. And the second is constitutional. This is the product of evolution, wherein nilimit na yung power ng monarch. Anong nangyari? The function of the monarch is merely symbolic as an icon of their state. They're respecting the monarch, and at the same time, their job is merely ministerial. And the one that directing the state, their country, is no other than the prime minister, the head of the parliament. Like for example, the Queen of England. Yung Queen of England, prime minister na ang nagpapatakbo ng kanilang bansa. No? Unlike ang Sultan Bolkiah ng Brunei, absolute pa rin yan. And even King of Saudi Arabia, absolute pa rin yan. And so with the King of Spain. But Japan, it's no longer. Kaya alam nyo ba na ang Japan napakatibay na monarchical power yan, no? Headed by the emperor. That was during, before the World War II. But nagiba when they surrendered to America, and after the trial, no, yung mga war crimes ng Japan, from absolute, naging limited monarch na lang sila. And the prime minister is now the one that became the head of state, and their emperor, andun pa rin yung respect nila sa emperor. But it's no longer absolute. So that is an example of a transformation of a monarchical power, an absolute monarchical power, to constitutional or limited monarchical power. Okay, another form of government is called to be aristocracy and oligarchy. Magkaiba sila sort of, but they have the same nature kasi, kaya pinag-isa na natin. Kinukuha lang naman natin yung gist eh. Well, this is a form of government in which the supreme power resides only to a few persons. And their privilege arises from birth, wealth, superior wisdom, and priestly function. It is also be called as government by elite of the society. Kaya dito nga nabubuo yung tinatawag natin na yung political dynasty. Okay? Like for example, the president of the Philippines, we respect the president, but once the first family went out in public, the people will respect them as how they respect the president. They can influence people. They can influence government officials. And ganun din. For example, anak ni mayor, anak ni governor, they're not the governor, they're not the mayor, but pag nakita na nila yan, they are looking the son or the daughter as the mayor or the governor. That is how they influence because of their affiliation to somebody with a position and with power. While oligarchy, ito naman yung mga mayayaman, no? Mga wealthy people. They don't need to run for an election to have a seat in the government, but they can influence political leaders to favor them. To favor them, like for example, as a protection for their businesses or whatsoever. So they can use their money, their wealth, to influence political leaders, but no need for them to run for a position in the government. So makikita natin, di ba, yung aristocracy, dito nabubuo yung tinatawag nila na political dynasty. Sunod nating pag-uusapan yung tinatawag na democracy or demokrasya, no, sa wikang Pilipino. And democracy is our form of government here in the Philippines for long time already. So democracy is also a form of government in which the ruling power belongs to the rule of majority. And when we speak about rule of majority, ito yung nakakarami. Halimbawa, for example, during election time, di naman parehas ang pananaw ng mga tao. So binibilang kung sinong yung may pinakamaraming boto, siya yung tatanghalin natin na panalo. And as the rule of what we call majority in democracy, dapat talaga we need to respect the person who got the highest vote. No? Kailangan respetuhin sana natin yon. dahil yun ang sinasaad ng demokrasya. This is also because, this is a government of the people, for the people, and they said by the people. So, Philippines is a country that has a government which has been elected by the people of the state or by the land. The people are the one choosing leader, like what we are doing, and we are enjoying because as long that we reach the legal age, and that is 18 years old, then according to law, that we have now the right to vote as long that we register. So, democracy is a system in which everyone is equal before the law and has the right to vote, as what I have mentioned. And not only to vote, but we can participate in the government decision making. And we have this freedom of speech in democracy. Okay, so let's go now to communism. So ano nga ba yung komunista? Actually, yan pa rin ang suliranin dito sa ating bayan, no? In the Philippines, communism. Communism is a form of government. Actually, there are still state or country in the world that their government is communism. Well, communism refers to the communal ownership of all property in the state. So the government owns everything, actually including decision making of individual. Sila yung may tinatawag na one-child policy. So they will regulate even the family of a couple. And well, in democracy, it is an opposite. No? Kasi sa atin, we have the freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Napakaraming freedom when it comes to democracy. But in communism, wala. Because of their principle that you need to what do you call this, support the government, and the government will support you. Yung kanilang pananaw kasi na in communism, dapat walang mahirap, walang mayaman. But I don't think so kasi makikita naman natin, if it's equal, then how about those who work in the government and leaders in their government? No, they're not equal to the common man or common people in their state. But again, that is their ideology in form of government. So wala tayong magagawa doon. Para sa atin, hindi maganda. But we are not at their shoes because they choose that form of government because they believe in something. So para sa kanila, maganda yon na walang mayaman, walang mahirap, pantay-pantay lang. Okay. Another form of government, meron yung tinatawag na de facto government. Okay, so ano ba yung tinatawag na de facto government? Well, this kind of government acquired by force. In this force, they use it as their legality. Like, for example, revolution, no? Yung leadership na na-acquired nila by force, by revolution. Like nung EDSA revolution, nagkaroon tayo ng de facto government. The time that they ousted not only President Marcos, but they ousted the 1973 Constitution that time. So there is no government because there is no constitution. But they legalized their government by force, a revolutionary government. No, we called it as de facto, na lahat ng tao sumusunod, even though wala pang constitution na dapat sundin, sumusunod sila dahil sa takot nila doon sa humahawak ng kasalukuyang liderato. So we called it as de facto government. Okay, pero may kasunod yung de facto government, no? Yung de jure na tinatawag. So ano ba yung de jure? By right yan kasi. So this is in contrast to the de facto government. Well, de jure is a government by right, lawful and legitimate, with the general support of the people. And that what was happened, no, after the de facto government during EDSA Revolution, after the EDSA Revolution. Nung wala na si Marcos that time, and the revolutionary government of former President Aquino was there already, no, they created to officialize, no, to legitimize their government. They created a constitution. Nagkaroon sila ng tinatawag na freedom constitution kasi hindi kasi pwede sa isang estado na mag-create ka ng isang gobyerno, you will create a government without constitution. Because constitution is the fundamental law of the land. Constitution is the backbone of the government. So how this government will stood up if there is no backbone? So they created yung tinatawag na freedom constitution. But during 1987, nung nakita nila na tinanggap na ng taong bayan because wala na si Marcos, no? Iilan na lang naman yung resistance noon. So they legitimized, and then in February 1987, pinaratify sa taong bayan yung Freedom Constitution. Yun na yung naging 1987 Constitution. So naging legitimate na yung panunungkulan ni former President Cory Aquino. So yun yung tinatawag na de jure government. No? Nagkaroon ng constitution noon, Freedom Constitution, even though hindi pa siya nararatify, no? Sinusundan na ng tao kasi they respect now and they accepted the present leadership, which is the existing government that time. Okay, puntahan naman natin yung tinatawag na socialist na form of government. Well, ang socialism can be also considered as a semi-communist with a touch of semi-democratic, wherein they control the big companies for the welfare and interest of their economic activities. So, perhaps pwede nating sabihin na 60% communism and 40% democratic. So makikita natin na control pa rin talaga ng gobyerno. Pero kaiba naman, no? Doon pagka pinag-usapan natin yung communism, dito sa socialism, may mga the people are enjoying ng rights. Yun nga lang, limited, no? Wala pa sa 50%. Sabi ko nga, 60% communism and might be 40% democratic. Yan yung tinatawag na socialist country. Ano pa ba? Hindi ko nababanggit. Marami kasi yan eh. Okay. Yung tinatawag na parliamentary form of government. So, ano ba yung parliamentary form of government? Well, ang parliamentary form of government, no? This government is centralized. Okay, conferring to the legislature all the power and authority of the state. So, nandoon sa legislative department yung kapangyarihan na nagpapatakbo sa kanilang gobyerno at sa kanilang estado. They have the chief executive, no? Meron silang president na tinatawag, but their chief executive is only titular in function. Panay administerial na lang yon, no? Ang talagang namumuno sa kanila sa legislature, yung tinatawag na prime minister. And sabi ko nga, this is a centralized power. So members of the government, of the cabinet, are also members of the legislature. And the ruling political party is in power. Kung sino yung may pinakamaraming nanalo sa isang political party, yun yung tinatawag na ruling power. And they rule the legislative and they will elect their own prime minister, and that prime minister will be the leader of the state. Siya ang nag-ooperate ng buong estado. Ang presidente nandoon lang to do yun, mga ministerial functions. So that is a parliamentary form of government. So ayan, sana kahit papano, marami pa kasi yan, no? Pero dun sa mga na-discuss natin, kahit papano, I do hope that you've learned again something about the form of government. So, ayan Julie from Sorsogon. So, yan na ang iyong request at maraming salamat ulit sa pag-message mo sa akin. So, muli, mga ka-opinion ko lang, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Bye!